Hello, pedalboard builders. Yeah, you nerds out there that put a lot of pedals on boards. Now, if you haven't seen my video with Paul Cioks from Cioks Paul Cioks from Cioks, there's no S in his name, Power Supplies, watch it. He explains us what happened in the world of power supplies with the Strymon Zuma and his new product and something about, I think, the One Spot, those companies. Because now we're in the world of switching power supplies, which means a lot more power with a lot less weight and smaller form factors. And he's got the smallest form factor on the market. So if you want to know all the ins and outs about what's happening with power supplies nowadays, watch my video, What Happened to Power Supplies, something like that. But I want to give you a quick rundown of the new Cioks DC7, which is pretty amazing. And when Paul and his team tackle something or get their hands on a new kind of technology, they're going to try to get the most out of it in the highest quality possible. And that's where the DC7 comes in. It also comes in this box. Paul brought me two. One is already installed on my table. It's so small over there, you can barely see it. Leslie can try to grab it. It's actually right here. And you can't see it because it's so freaking slim. Now, power supplies have gotten smaller because of switching technology. Before you had something about direct current. I don't quite understand how that works. But now you have these switching power supplies and something with, I don't even try to make me explain it to you because I don't get it. But it means that the transformer in it can be really small. And then it steps it down to something. And then on each individual output, which is a special thing about his, there's also switching dual keys. And that also allows A, for a lot of power, and B, for each individual output to be configurable between 9, 12, 15, which is very unique to him, and 18 volts. Every individual output. So if we go to some kind of camera, maybe the desk. Oh. Very nifty. In the box comes this overview over his flex cables, because there's a lot of extra cables you can buy depending on what you need and what you're in and out, what your power options are, and it tells you exactly what pedals, what milliamps. This is a very, very good chart to keep, so don't throw this away. And here we've got the little overview card in the shape of the DC7. And this is it. This is all that it is. It is extremely slim. It is extremely light. And it is ultra high quality. So moving on. Under here, we find a lot of these cables. Think the red one is for something. And the green one is for something else. And then there's the other ones. Let me see if that explains it. The red is a center positive. The green is a 5.5 millimeter positive plug. I think you need that for eventides. Split flex, and then there's a daisy chain cable. And the split flex, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of different cables, which of course is good. Comes with a little 2 screws and a hex thing to attach it to stuff. And of course, a power cable. Plugs directly into it. There's no wall wart or something like you would have on the Ojai, for example. God, I love that this is light. Power supplies with this much balls usually are pretty damn heavy. For example, the Joyo or something, Power Supply 4. Big, very heavy, doesn't fit on any board, has power, but that's also the old style with the toroidal transformer. It's good quality, but this is a whole different ballgame. Now, this clocks in at less money than the Zuma, is smaller, more flexible in terms of voltage options, one output less. And it's also expandable. This is the amazing thing. But let's go into this in a bit. We have 7 outputs, and each of them with these little dip switches can be configured to be 9, 12, 15, or 18. But the fun doesn't stop there. 3 outputs there. Look, I mean, it's so freaking thin, she said. 4 outputs there. USB out, so you can actually power a phone if you wanted to, which on some pedal boards might be needed because now you work with apps. And this is the chain through. This is the 24 volt DC output. So what this thing can do, it can power something like the Ojai. So you can channel that through and daisy chain this with the Ojai from Strymon, but even better, with the upcoming 4 or 8. So there's another very small box from Cioks coming called the 4, which has 4 outputs with 660 each, and another one with 8 outputs, 660 each. You can have this as your main one, daisy chain to the 4 or 8, or even the 4 and the 8, to create ridiculous pedal boards. 660 milliamps on each output is absolutely ridiculous, and obviously with the daisy chain cables, it doesn't mean 7 pedals. This thing can power 20, 30 pedals, depending on the combination that you use on each output. Be careful with digital pedals, don't combine them. Interference, it's there. It's not that it's not there, but the transformer is very small, acts in a very high frequency range, apparently, switching power supply, high frequency something. And having a wah on it, you would have to have the worst position possible combination of this and wah directly for anything to actually interfere. So it's not no interference, but it's extremely reduced compared to previous generations of power supplies. What I love about Cioks, once you turn this on, the O lights up, showing you that it's that it's on. And the big question is, how do you know that you're not overloading the power supply, that you're putting too much stuff on there? Well, first of all, each individual light on each output will show you this. Not that the lights are just on when you plug something in, but once the light, I don't know, I've never overloaded one, but I think it starts to dim or even flicker or something, and that shows you, wait a second, this thing draws more power than I'm willing to give. 660 is a whole bunch, but some stuff might be pulling more. Now, as for the whole box, or let's say not the whole box, this and the 4 and the 8, if you're daisy chaining them, how do you know that it can actually handle it? Well, there's a nifty little row of LEDs, 40%, 70%, 90%, and at some point, this will start to flicker as well, the main power, which then says, oh, wait a second, you're done. How many pedals that would be? I don't think it's realistic to build a pedal board that big, but you could. And of course, some pedals draw a lot more power. Once you go to 12, 15, and 18, it's not 660 anymore, it's a little bit less, blah, 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 technology that I don't know. Watch the other video with Paul. Point is, it's all possible. Daisy chaining to a Zuma, to an Ojai, or the 4 or the 8 with 24 volts. And you can absolutely check, and this thing gives you feedback over how much more you can do. It'll be tough to overload it. In terms of accessories, it comes with these cables. But let's say you want to put one of those helixes or helix stomp or helix effects on it. Paul's gotten a lot of questions about this. He figured out how to do it. You need 2 outputs because they draw quite a bit of milliamps. And for that, you use this flex cable, the gray parallel adapter, which takes 2 outputs from the DC7 and gives you 1. And that gives you a total of 1320 milliamps, technically. But then you need to be able to actually plug it in to the device. And the normal black cable isn't going to do that. So you take a normal black cable, extend it. That's actually pretty long as well. And then you use this 3050 5.5 DC plug, center negative, the yellow one, the yellow flex. And that, in combination with this, will make the DC7 power your Helixes or your Line 6 devices. So you need those two in addition, but hopefully this flex cable selection guide will also tell you this. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is the Cioks grip. So for pedal board style boards, instead of drilling and putting this underneath, you actually connect this with the two supplied screws. Well, this comes extra at 20 bucks or something. It's called the Cioks grip. How does this work? Something like this. You connect it to this somehow, like that. Can't see it on the cat. And then you can put this over a rail at the bottom on a pedal train, and all that happens is this is how you do it. Yes. That's beautiful. And then there's screws supplied with a grip in here that simply just clamp it onto that rail. And no drilling necessary. This is so cool because I had to, drill through aluminum or metal on some boards. Metal. So I'm not going to build a board with it or plug it in. I'm using this on a daily basis now. It works great. There's very little interference. Expandability, that's the great thing. You buy this, you're already set for a shit ton of pedals, but you're able to expand with the 4 and the 8 later. I would trust anything from Cioks always. One of the best power supply companies on the market. There are others that are as great, and Paul will be the first person to tell you, but this stuff is good. It's extremely small, has a lot of power, a lot of options, and expandability. What else do you want? I think this could be the thing for your board. Invest it. It's $259 or something. Invest the money. It's absolutely worth it. And you're future-proof by being able to add 4 more or 8 more outputs to it once he releases the 4 and the 8. That's it for me. Thanks, Leslie, for switching. Links below. And animals at the end.